So good afternoon, good morning. We have an incredible panel from all over the world with Ashish, Hila, Ali, and Judit. I'm Charles-Edouard Bouée. I'm the co-founder and managing partner of Alpha Intelligence Capital, which is a global AI fund investing in stage, let's say, seed to D. And today we're going to talk about how artificial intelligence can help avert future health crisis. So to get started, I will ask Ashish Koshy, who is the CEO of Geforato Healthcare, to tell us about during this COVID crisis, how have you been, you personally, and your group dealing with the health crisis with the technology?
Thank you, Charlie-Edouard. First of all, good afternoon from Abu Dhabi to all the participants of the Abu Dhabi Sustainability Week, hosted by Masdar. Our offices are in Masdar City here in Abu Dhabi, and it's definitely a privilege to be part of this session and the panel. To the question, we at Geforato Healthcare have developed a portfolio of solutions that address healthcare challenges related to this pandemic and other diseases, both directly and indirectly. Some of our direct contributions are that we set up a state-of-the-art COVID-19 testing laboratory literally in 14 days here in Masdar, and it is currently meeting the national testing targets. We currently do 15,000 PCR tests per day. Our AI team and the laboratory team have implemented a solution which enables accelerated review of the fluorescence curves for detecting positive cases, with the goal to reduce the turnaround time for reporting results, which currently here right now is around 6 hours as compared to the normal benchmark of 24 hours, therefore enabling the authorities to rapidly identify positive cases to curb the spread. So, some of the other solutions that we have deployed is we were fortunate enough to build a omics lab here in 2019, which is currently now running genome sequencing to identify mutations, to identify the genomic source of the COVID-19 pandemic. We have medical imaging solutions, which we have deployed as part of potentially identifying severe grades of COVID-19 radiological signatures in both X-ray and chest images and CT images. We've developed AI-enabled surveillance methodology for the wastewater to potentially act as an early indicator of potential new pandemics. So it's been a busy year last year, and specifically for prevention, we ran the clinical trials for the first phase 3 inactivated vaccine in 4 different countries, the UAE, Egypt, Jordan, and Bahrain. And also we were the first to enable wearables in a clinical trial with safety being the primary goal. So there's a lot of activity Geforato Healthcare has been done, specifically on this pandemic.
Very impressive, Ashish. We have Hila from Israel. How has it been going on your side on preventing and dealing with this health crisis?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me in this session. So yeah, we are based in Israel, and DI Imaging Analysis is developing an AI solution to help physicians analyze ultrasound images, specifically in the cardiac space. And as you probably know, COVID-19 not only attacked the lungs, but also the heart. Our AI solution is being part of ultrasound devices and being used on the front line of COVID-19 at the emergency room and this dedicated COVID-19 units, and being able to track the heart of patient to see if there is an improvement or decline in the treatment on an hourly, daily basis without taking the patient out of the emergency room or those dedicated units, and being able to track their heart with AI solutions, which really help the front line of the physicians there. And definitely we see an increased use of AI solution within ultrasound in this space, specifically with COVID-19 came along, and also got accelerated the adoption of AI solution within ultrasound and ultrasound in general on the point of care.
Excellent, thank you, Hila. Now moving to Ali, you are the CEO and founder of Babylon. You're a unicorn. And you're talking to us from London. So tell us about how you've been dealing with this health crisis with AI.
Charles and team, thank you for having me. when the first wave of AI hit, it seems like such a long time ago, but if you remember, we had an avalanche of patients going to doctors. And very soon afterwards, we had to shut down all our clinics almost across the globe. So we had this huge demand that could not be met by the ordinary model of delivery of healthcare. And those places that could meet them by keeping hospitals, for instance, open, were still kind of couldn't cope. But if you think about what the patients were going to see the doctor for, was to say, listen, I got high temperature, I got, I don't know, this and that or the other. And all the doctors were given is a very basic protocol to say, if the following is true, then the patient needs to isolate. For that, you don't even need an AI. You just need a simple questionnaire to get the patients in place. And we very quickly learned across the globe that that's what we should do. Now, within the first 10 days, we actually moved that on to create a solution that doesn't just send patients home, but also monitors them at home for their symptoms. If they have questions, send them to a clinical assistant, so on and so forth. And we covered 8% of the UK population. We were paid by the National Health Service in Britain predominantly to cover about 8% of the UK population. We did the same for Mount Sinai in New York and in many different places. But what that showed, overnight almost, was that all these models of healthcare that we thought were sacred and cannot be touched, when crisis came, very quickly were touched. And the point I want to make is not so much about what we did, but much more about what the globe did as a whole, which is to prove that fundamentally rethinking and reimagining healthcare was always possible. It was a matter of cultural and traditions that we didn't do it, and I'm delighted that we did. I mean, this crisis was painful for all of us. We lost 2 million of our best. I lost my own father to COVID. But one good thing that came out of it, it showed us all that we can rethink the way we were doing things as opposed to focus so much on the wrong way we used to do things.
Exactly, Ali, and it's a nice transition into Judit, because you were helping people to be answered and have some support, and Judit is working with a company, Bluebox, on self-testing, which is even one step further. Tell us a bit about this, Judit, and in the context of health crisis.
Exactly. Thank you, Charles-Edouard, for the introduction. In fact, yes, the Bluebox is a young company. It has just been founded, and we are developing a medical device that will be able to diagnose breast cancer out of a urine sample just by introducing a urine sample in a box, which could be done at home. So I believe that this health crisis that we are right now is, of course, redefining the concept of medicine, is forcing us companies that work in the healthcare sector to shift from traditional medicine to a disruptive new approach that can only be achieved through the power of artificial intelligence. What I like to say is that the fun part, or the wonderful part of artificial intelligence, that it has no limits, right? It allows us to generate new data, to generate knowledge with the only limitation of how much data we have. So this wonderful advantage is helping us redesign the future of medicine. And I hope that by applying these concepts, we can soon reach a world in which patients are able to get self-tested at home, in which patients are empowered and we can do things. We can use telemedicine. But yeah, to reach that, it's our responsibility to have patients understand that artificial intelligence is not trying to kick out their trusted physician, but rather give this physician tools and give this physician new means to reach even more accurate diagnosis and therefore even better treatments from home.
Thank you, Judit. And as you all said, this crisis with the COVID has been putting a huge pressure on our health system, a huge pressure on accelerating technology, and a huge need on also curing and ending as many diseases as we can in the future. I want to pass on now to Hila with a question, a prospective question, which is the purpose of this panel. How do we avert future health crises? How do we end diseases? And how can AI technology, which is an oxymoron because this doesn't exist, there's no such thing as artificial intelligence, there's human intelligence and artificial support. How would you go about it from your side, Hila?
So I think that, as Ali mentioned, the good thing about the pandemic last year is the acceleration of adoption of AI solution. I think before that, AI was something that just emerged in the last couple of years, and medical facilities and hospitals didn't really know why they need it, where they need it, how to apply it. And suddenly with this pandemic, they were forced in some sense to start using it and start seeing how it can be useful. I think in the future, I think that the train is already out there, and those adoption will be increased dramatically during the next couple of years. So I think we will be better prepared for the next crisis. Hopefully it will not happen, but as we all see, things happen. And once you started to use AI and see how efficient it is, and being part of your workflow, so there's no turning back. So I'm very optimistic about that.
Thank you, Hila. Ashish, you are part of local national systems helping transforming. So how do you see the government and national health system transforming with the help of companies like Group 42 Healthcare?
Sure. So healthcare systems, as the previous speakers had mentioned, are across the world are striving for quality care with their previous restrictive budgets pre-pandemic. But I think there is a change, and the change is being adopted. But still, the growing cost of managing chronic diseases, a rise in geriatric care expenses, shortage of specialists, those will continue. I think the focus, as I know, the WHO estimates 60 to 70% of healthcare expenses are in non-communicable diseases, which is like chronic diseases and cancers. I think if we can lower down the cost of care there should be significant R&D budget to work on this innovative products that we can bring about. So clearly, I think that focus on R&D and bringing up innovative solutions. Second, I think we are working here with a progressive regulatory authority here in the Department of Health, where data sharing across multiple hospitals is open. We have acquired a company called Malafi, which is, I believe, the region's largest health information exchange, where most of the hospitals are connected. And that's the key. As long as provided as data is shared in the right ethical manner to drive new innovation. AI omics is something that we are focused, which we believe should lead to precision medicine. And that should be the sort of should be the joint roadmap to ensuring that we can prevent a next health crisis.
Yes, thank you, Ashish. So, Judit, you mentioned that you have this self-care. So we have the national care system, the self-care. I'll come back to Ali in a second. So you are the self-care. How do you see in the future people using their own device and being more independent from national systems?
Well, in my opinion, this is the only way. This is the future of medicine, and this is the role that patients of the future will take in medicine. However, there are still some steps we have to take. And I believe this is the responsibility of companies like us, right? To show patients, to present artificial intelligence to the public as something that can help turn data, which is potential knowledge, into actual knowledge. And to do that, what we have to overcome is that we have to get people to trust AI. We have to let people not be scared of AI. And how we do that is, the real challenge here is we have to control who has access to data. We have to control if we let data be public, who will be using it, and in which interest these companies will be using it. And I think that this one is really, really the next challenge that we are facing and we will have to be facing in the upcoming years.
That's a nice transition you made it for me into Ali, because Ali, you're using anonymized data, and you are doing the link, as you mentioned, between national health systems and the patient. So maybe in the future, how do you see this movement transforming?
Charles-Edouard, you and I are of an age where we remember that we used to drive our cars until it broke down. And then we took it to a garage and the mechanic fixed it. And nobody does that anymore. We've buried enough sensors in our cars and we take it for annual services, and cars usually don't break down anymore, right? But yet we do that with almost every other asset we have. And we just don't do that with human body, probably our most valuable asset, right? We wait for it to break. We don't have a healthcare system. You refer to these as healthcare system. Almost everywhere in the world, we have sick care system. We wait for people to get sick, and then we fix it. And I think what this pandemic showed us is that at the very beginning of this pandemic, we started again dealing with it as a sick care system. We waited for them to get sick. We saw that it cannot be done. The numbers were too high. So we started proactively, almost using draconian measures to keep people healthy. Once this pandemic passes, and it will pass, I was delighted to hear most people on this panel have already been vaccinated. And in the next few months, the whole chunk of populations will get vaccinated. What I think the legacy of it will be is that this is not the only crisis we have. We have chronic condition crisis, as Ashish was talking about. We have mental health crisis. We lose 1 million people a year to suicide alone, globally, right? And we've got used to it. So it's time to change that. And the only way to change that is to fundamentally change the way we look. And instead of dealing with crisis, we try to invest heavily in primary care to keep people healthy proactively. And in order to get that resource, we need to move from waiting until somebody gets sick and then go to doctor and report to a place where we are continuously 24/7 monitoring people and then being able to proactively manage them. That is a fundamental shift in the way we deliver services, in the same way that there is a fundamental shift from, say, gas guzzling cars to battery-powered cars, and that means all our petrol stations need to change to a different logistics system. I think the task ahead of us is huge in terms of reshaping, and AI that we all talk about. Let me just say, as somebody who builds it, it's going to massively disappoint in the short term, and is going to massively overshoot our wildest expectation in the long term. And that journey is one in which we all need to kind of get used to. It's not going to be easy, but it will happen. What it requires is persistence of objective tenacity. And those countries and those health systems who take advantage, in my view, can win big time and leapfrog the old systems. We are in that moment in time that it's up to all of us to decide which route we want to go.
Yes, and to give some of my own inputs on my side, the knowledge we have in this group and of our body is very low, because the education system is not telling us how our body works. And I'm sure that if asked, many of you should drink water during the meal, people don't know. Again, your stomach is like an organic machine. We are all organic body, and the knowledge of it is very, very low. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, as you mentioned, we are in a collective system where we're trying to have a collective system to fix the individuals. And of course, it's a balance. We all want to be healthy, but sometimes we're afraid of using artificial intelligence because we're afraid that someone else will know about our health condition. And last but not least, at the end of the day, AI is, and I said it a few minutes ago, an oxymoron. It's a mathematical model. It's just a pattern that when you go into a doctor office, he will ask you the same question that he has been asking to the 500 people before. And you will have to give the same answers. Oh, I feel bad, or is it the headache? And then the magic is after you get the answer from the doctor, you almost feel better before you took the drugs. Because you feel as a human that someone has diagnosed, and the diagnose has a psychological effect on your body. I mean, you notice you go with your kid in the emergency room, and the doctor says, oh, it's nothing. You just need to take 3 pills. All the family goes down in terms of energy level and nervosity, even though the pill has not been taken. So having said this, we're getting into our last 5 minutes, and I want to give the panelists the opportunity to say a few words on closing remarks on what you want the people listening to this panel to take away from you, from this very short panel. We have only 25 minutes. So I will start with you, Judit, to, in a minute or so, tell us what you want people to remember from this panel and yourself.
Well, I found a point made by Ali wonderful and brilliant, saying that we are not in a healthcare system, but in a sick care system. I truly agree with you in that point. And what I have to say is that I will feel fulfilled as a biomedical engineer the day that our healthcare systems are a preventive, really a preventive system, and a system that puts the patient in the middle and empowers him or her to take care of their own health. That day, I will feel fulfilled. This is not an easy task. Human body and health is a complex issue. Actually, the reason why I love being a biomedical engineer is because I think I have the honor of working with the best machine that exists in the world, which is actually the human body. And yeah, let's use artificial intelligence to understand it and to treat it.
Thank you, Judith. Ashish, from your side?
AI in healthcare is no longer a nice to have. It's something we urgently need across the world to contain the rising healthcare costs and challenges. As Ali mentioned, it might disappoint in the beginning, but is definitely going to protect the future of our nations later on the road. Today's session, clearly touched upon a number of enlightening topics on AI adoption across multiple ecosystems. Here in Abu Dhabi, we've demonstrated a highly adaptive and proactive model, clearly because of two main reasons. Once again, I'm touching upon that is the regulatory and the data. Without data, definitely you don't have a successful AI model, and it's going to be hard to implement. So it's critical that nations put in place the right regulatory model and allow anonymized data to be shared so that researchers, innovators, industries across the globe can together participate in ensuring that we can address the healthcare challenges. Thank you.
Thank you, Ashish. Hila, you are
I think that artificial intelligence in healthcare is really bringing new methods of people to get screened early in stage in every point of care that they are reaching. In our space within ultrasound, we see that those handheld devices are coming to those every new stethoscope of the future with every physician and nurse. And with AI, they will be able to screen and triage those patients and know what to do next. Otherwise, today they have to go and do a lot of testing and spend a lot of time. I think it's like the cellular phone brought people information. Healthcare, AI in healthcare will bring them the ability to get results much faster. As they know, as you mentioned, if it's something serious, something that you can solve with a pill in a very much early stage of the diagnostic. So I'm very optimistic.
Thank you, Hila. Ali, your closing remarks?
We just finished 2020. It was a very Dickensian year. It was the best of times. It was the worst of times. It was the age of wisdom. It was the age of foolishness, as Dickens used to say. We come out of it. We have a very short period of time before we get used to or go back to what we used to do. And my appeal to everybody is that please remember the 2 million people we lost, the hundreds of billions of dollars we lost in our economy, lives that got destroyed, and let us come back and do things better. And in healthcare, where everything is at a flux right now, we have an opportunity not to go back to our old homes, but to rebuild. And to rebuild a healthcare system, a proactive, tech-led, digital-first healthcare system, rather than the brick-and-mortar, old, cumbersome, sick care system that we had. And in that, there is no difference between big countries and small countries. We just did a deal with the government of Rwanda to do that across their entire country. We are looking for partners in any territories with which we can create world exemplars of how it can be done. We would love to talk to anybody who wants to, but with or without us, I think this is a moment in time we can reinvent in our healthcare. And my question to you all is if it's not us, then who? If it's not now, then when?
Thank you, Ali. It's just closing the panel right on time. I want to thank you for your time on this panel on this Abu Dhabi Sustainability Week and dealing with AI and the future of health. Thank you all.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure.